All right. Well, welcome to Behind the Point. I'm Pastor Jeff, and this is a very special interview episode. So I'm here with Craig and Linda Gutman, and they are our small group leaders for our Financial Peace University class. And so I invited them on. I thought this would be a great time. I've wanted to have you for a while, but we're starting the class again soon. And so I thought that would be a great opportunity to hear from you a little bit. And we're actually starting a series on giving and on generosity. It's called I Can't Afford It. Oh, and so it's getting rid of a scarcity mindset to having more of an abundant mindset. And so financial peace, the class is falling at the perfect time as we're starting this series too.
Good time.
And great time to have you on. So
great.
Thanks for being here. Would you mind just telling me a little bit about yourselves and how long have you been married?
Well, that's going to be my responsibility.
Okay.
We've been married for 38 years.
Yep.
Surprisingly to both of us.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
meaning that we were thinking it was 35, 36, and then we're like, wow, it's 38 years. Yeah.
Yeah, it flew.
Time flies.
And we have 3 sons. Our oldest is Scott. Scott does the door at the 9:15 service with his beautiful wife, Melissa,
Yes.
best daughter-in-law you can ever imagine having.
Yes.
And they created 3 gorgeous grandsons for us. Joshua is 4, Joseph is 2, and Samuel 7 months.
Yep. And we have, by the way, I have a Joshua and a Sam.
That's right.
Isn't that funny?
So we're like, well, Joseph is the other?
Joseph.
Yeah, Joseph
So
is
we're
the
like,
middle.
all right, if we have one more kid, another boy, we'll consider
Totally
Joseph.
confusing, yes. So then our middle son is Timmy, and Timmy passed away when he was
2.5.
2.5
Oh, wow.
years old due to Tay-Sachs, a genetic condition. And then shortly afterwards, I had all 3 boys for 1 month. Shortly afterwards, we had Thomas, and Thomas is our assistant.
Yes.
In Financial Peace, he does the lights and
Yeah.
helps out with the badges and things like that. And he is special needs. Great guy. He lives at home with us.
Yeah.
He's 31,
Yeah.
I think.
30 something.
He's such
31.
a sweet guy, too. Thomas is
Yeah.
very kind.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, how long have you been at Centerpoint?
We've been at Centerpoint. I'm going to do that one.
Yeah,
too.
Yeah,
you go.
maybe I
Go
shouldn't
for
have
it.
asked
The
dates.
dates,
I
the
know.
dates are Linda.
We started when Scotty was in middle school. He was about 12. So we figured it out, and it's like around 23 years.
Okay, wow.
Yeah,
That's
it's crazy.
awesome.
23 years.
That's awesome. And how long have you been teaching the Financial Peace University?
It's been about 3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3 years.
What's been your experience with that? Just
Well, it's been great. We retired about 4 years ago, and so then we thought, well, maybe we can do this financial piece, and so we reached out to see if we can help, whether lead it or just help, and then it ended up at the time the first response we got was no, they don't really need any help, but then about 3-4 weeks later, I get a phone call from Pastor Dane, and he says, "Hey, Craig, are you still interested?" I said, "Yes." He says, "Well, can you lead it for us?" I said, "Yeah." So I'm not exactly sure what all happened, but it gave us an opportunity to lead, and it's been a great experience. I mean, we feel like that it's somewhere where I think God wants us, and I think we can help. Yep. We have helped.
yes.
And so we're excited to be doing it. So I think we've done how many classes?
We'll be on our 7th, I believe.
About 7.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
7
that's
classes.
awesome.
We
And
do
this,
about 2
is this
a
your
year.
first time doing Wednesday nights?
Yes.
Because we're going to start it on Wednesdays at 6:30. So
Right.
worship at 6 and then
Yeah.
6:30 because you've been doing it in the morning the last Sunday mornings the last several times.
We have. We've always done Sunday.
Yeah.
I think you mentioned, Jeff, maybe how is it
See if
possible
it's
to do it
another
on
crowd.
Wednesday? And we
Yeah.
thought, you know what? Maybe that's true because
Yeah.
we have heard some people would like to do it, but they can't do it on Sunday. So
Right.
Wednesday may work out for
Yeah.
them.
Hopefully
when
you'll
you-
get a good group this round.
When you did your marriage class and we did the small group with that, we had quite a few people that mentioned us that they could come if it was on a Wednesday. So
Yeah.
Good.
So we're
Well, if
excited
you're
about it.
listening, it's a great class. Can you tell us a little bit about Financial Peace University? What is just a little bit about
Yeah.
what the class entails and
It is it's Dave Ramsey is the one that it's from. So we're what's the word? We are the middleman. We're the
Administrators,
It
overseers,
isn't. We're teaching
His
what
material.
Dave Ramsey. Yeah, his material. And just to give you a little insight of how we even got started with Financial Peace, 25, 30 years ago, I'm in outside sales, so I'm in the car quite a bit. And I started listening to this guy on the radio, and it was Dave Ramsey. And he was talking about all of these different, principles. And they were biblical principles, which is what I love. I love that it's biblical principles, and I love that it's simple.
Yes.
Doesn't mean it's easy, but it's simple. And so I started to listen to him over and over again while I was in the car, and I started to get convicted, like, I think this guy's making sense. So I came home to Linda.
Yes, he did.
And we sat down, and I told her, some of the principles he spoke about, and we agreed as a team to do it. And so again, 25, 30 years ago, we started doing the Financial Peace principles by listening to the radio, and we've stuck through since then all the way to now. And in our opinion, the position we're in now is it's a comfortable position financially, and a lot of that has to do with being disciplined with those principles through time. So
that's awesome. So you're practicing what you preach.
100%
when you teach the
big
class.
believers. And so I'm a big believer in these financial peace principles. Yes.
That's awesome. Yeah. Anything else you want to say about kind of your financial journey? So what led you there was really the hearing it in the car and his principles. Was there anything that stood out in particular that you first wanted to start applying?
Well, it was just a matter of, when we talk about finances, who do we learn from? I mean, I would love it if there was more education in school about it.
Yeah.
And so we rely on your parents, but my mom and dad, they weren't financially savvy.
Yeah.
And so, a lot of times you're like, what do I do? Where do I go? What steps do I need to take? How do I even think about the future? A lot of times it's check to check, and they're not even considering maybe there's an opportunity to take steps now for the future. And so listening to, those principles, it kind of opened my eyes to, what? There is opportunity here. My eyes are open now.
Yeah.
And let's at least go for it and see what happens. And that's what we did.
That's awesome. How has your perspective changed, maybe through FPU or just over the years, as you have a strong walk with Christ as well? You built a godly family, and I just think of Scott and Melissa have led marriage groups in the past, and they're here. They have their kids in the church. But so with your faith and then even your just financial journey, how has your perspective changed on stewardship? And what is some of your viewpoint there? Just thinking about stewarding what God's given us.
Yeah, I would say Ramsey talks about this too. As far as in the financial part, we'll talk about that.
Sure.
A key perspective is we are managing God's money. It's not our money.
Yep. And that's a nice way to think about it. Steward is a foreign word.
Yeah.
To many people, we don't talk about it a lot, but managing God's money.
Managing.
Yeah.
We're managers. And so what does that mean? Well, we need to be responsible with it.
Yes.
Right? Wise with it. And not only thinking about today, but thinking about tomorrow. Right? And so along that road, and then what are you going to do with that, the success that you may have? And now you're going to help others.
Yes.
And so it's just a different way of looking at money. It's his money. We're managing it. It's not my money.
That's right.
In the big picture of things.
That's good.
I haven't used this example in a long time, and it just came to mind. But I used to say at the beginning of Financial Peace, it's like putting on the oxygen mask at the airplane. You have to take care of yourself and get yourself in shape before you can reach out and help other people. So Financial Peace gives you the tools to help yourself, so you're in a better place to ultimately help other people.
Yeah. Your generosity could go so much further.
Yes.
When you have your own ducks in a row and have thought through stuff.
Your own house. Yeah. Your own house in order.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah.
What do you want to tell others when it comes to tithes and offering and just generosity in the church?
Yeah. Well, I would say it's I've said it a little bit already in the sense that we're managing God's money. Ramsey during the class, a budget is very key, right? And he has tithing as part of the budget.
Right from the very beginning.
So it's very important. It's a budget item. It's not so we can talk more about that later if you'd like, but a budget item. But I do want to say this.
It's not you get everything perfect and then later.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah. It's part of the budget.
Yeah.
It's part of the budget. But I want to say this from my perspective and biblically, God loves a cheerful giver. So if people ask me about tithing and all, the heart, as most things in life, God is what He's looking at that,
the heart.
The
Yeah.
heart. And so if you're giving and you're bitter about it, then
Something's off.
Then something's off, and it's
Yeah.
time to look in the mirror and kind of do a little check. To get to the point where when you're giving, it is out of joy, it's out of gratitude, out of gratefulness, and again, managing God's money, that's where you need to be. So tithing, God instructs us to do that. I think it's absolutely something we should do. I do believe in budgeting it, but man, the heart's got to be right. The heart's got to be right. And as far as the amount, listen, people do use 10%, but it depends on how you read things.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever it is.
And we've talked about that a little bit over the years here.
Yeah. Whatever the amount is, as long as it's
Right.
with a joyful heart.
It's
that's
between
good.
you and God at the end of the day. And
That's right.
yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
And anything you would say to get to that right heart mindset or the right heart, like that's kind of clicked for you or that's helped you just to find that joy in giving?
Anything? Well, do you have something you want to say?
Well, I was just going to say, I think differently than other people do sometimes. So for me, it's always been that I just don't think, like even going to church on Sunday, it's just what you do. So if you think of it as just something that you do, then you don't begrudge it.
You just know this is like
This is just part of God's plan for us is accounting for that.
It wasn't a surprise, per
right?
se.
So it doesn't like throw me into I have to do this. You know, I mean, it's just something we do.
Yeah,
that's
a good discipline.
Yeah,
Linda.
I also like on that in my mind when I give, I don't want to just write the check and give it.
Right.
I want to, back in the day when we wrote checks, and I like that, by
Yes.
the way. I want to acknowledge it, acknowledge God and His, and how grateful I am to be able to do it. And so it makes it more meaningful, and then I'm managing His money, and I'm doing what He's asking of me to do with it.
Do you give?
I want to give I want to acknowledge it versus just to do it.
Yeah. Not just like do it and forget about it.
Yeah.
That you pause.
I wanted to.
You kind of pause and let that be a worshipful moment.
Which I want to say may be more challenging today because we do everything digitally. Yeah. Where before it was, an act.
Yes.
Now it's just automatically done. So.
Do you give digitally now?
Yes. Now,
do you do anything to pause?
I try to acknowledge it, but I have to. It's not as easy,
right?
And
because you're not holding something tangibly.
Yeah, I loved when it was passed down, and I actually had the check that I wrote out.
Yeah,
the amount, folded it, and at that moment I could acknowledge.
Yes,
but now I don't have that, so doesn't mean I can't do that. But it's a little more challenging.
Yeah, you have to get creative.
Yeah.
And I mentioned recently on a Sunday, I missed that aspect of the offering plate.
Yeah.
It's like there was other challenges that came with it. People looking and how much did they give? But there is like the act of worship and that pausing to remember that. So yeah. Well, if you ever have ideas of how to creatively get that back, then share that with me.
Yeah.
I'll pass it on to others too.
Yeah.
Are you willing to share a principle that's been a game changer for you when it's come to managing money? Yeah. So maybe just like one. I know there's lots in the class. We don't want to.
Yeah. Well,
people need to go to FQ to get the whole system
Yes.
from you. But just, is there like one thing you could share just as a teaser?
I can. I like to give an analogy. Let's say that we were going to build a high-rise building. And would anybody on earth just go start building it without plans?
Right.
Not only on the plans of how you're going to do it, but the financial backing of it. Biblical principle, right? I mean, you don't start anything, if we're talking again from a financial perspective, until you have the money available to do it.
Yes.
So it's as if that's what a budget is. A budget sounds so simple. A budget is the building blocks to financial success.
That's your plan.
You got to have a budget. And what I mean by a budget is every dollar, where every dollar is going. Yeah. So tithing is in the budget, all the expenses. And if you have a tight budget and you know where all the money's going, there's no surprises. And so we have a tight budget. That's the building block. And from there, we're able to parlay that into getting an emergency fund.
Okay. Because there's the surprises. Surprises come, but you've budgeted. You planned for surprises even.
That's right. You budget for it. But then you're going to also have an emergency fund to cover some of these expenses that are going to come up out of nowhere. So you're going to be prepared instead of the tires need to be, you need new tires. Now I got to go get a credit card to get new tires. No. Now we're switching that. We're going to have a budget. We're going to have an emergency fund. Yes. When the tires come unexpectedly, we have the cash on hand to do it. It's a different thinking. The other thinking is this: with that budget, when you eventually get to investing and paying off your debt, you pay off your debt. Yeah. Now, instead of paying all this money out to other people to make money on your hard-earned dollars, you're putting that money into your investments. You're the one making money off of it. It's a different way of thinking, but that's the key, is the budget.
Yeah, I love that. When you say biblical principles, I think the proverb, it says plans fail for lack of planning. So there's your budget. Our financial situation gets a mess when there's not a plan in place, a budget in place to do that.
I like to say, in my opinion, if we're talking about financial freedom or whatever you want to say, if you don't have a budget, you're just playing. It's not real. Once you get that every dollar, where every dollar is going, now it's real. Now we've got something, and it's exciting, because what ends up happening is you get the budget, you start, it'll take you 2-3 months before, it gets fairly secure, and then you're going to start paying off debt, and you're going to get rid of these debts that you thought were going to be with you forever. That's exciting. And then the next step is exciting. And the next step is exciting. They're baby steps in financial peace. Yeah. And so, but the budget is the key.
That's good.
Yeah. And I know we talked about credit, we talked about the digital age we live in. That's part of the problem with the credit cards, is that people don't actually know. They come into class and they don't actually know what they're spending.
Right.
They have no idea what their expenses are. And they're shocked when they go to make a budget the first time and they find out that they are spending way more than they're bringing in.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're shocked by it, where they got to start cutting, cut.
And very common.
Now,
yes. And this is the digital age we've created. This is, if you had cash, you know exactly where you're at. But
man, we could talk a lot on all these. There shouldn't be a surprise at the end of the month. Where did all the money go?
Right.
There should not be a surprise. With a budget, there is no surprise.
Yeah.
What ends up happening is you're controlling the money, and the money is not controlling you. And so once you get that perspective set, then you're on your way.
And I was just going to say, we get very excited in Financial Peace when we have young people that come into the class, because they have the whole world ahead of them. And they haven't gotten into these horrible patterns that some of the older people have, which are still reparable. We can still work on them.
Yep.
But the younger people, boy, if they stick with it, they've got a great future ahead of them.
Yep.
Oh, man, I wish. I mean, I learned, we learned these principles fairly early, but boy, I wish I would even learned them earlier.
Yeah. You'd be millionaires.
Yeah. I tell you, time is your friend when it comes to finances, big time. And but doesn't mean whatever stage you're in,
Right.
there's benefit to financial peace however you're coming into the class.
And I mean, do you remember the numbers or even of roughly how many credit cards cut up, how much debt? Do you remember
If
those
people
statistics
log
roughly?
it, we only know it if people log it.
We
you know.
we have part of it is we have credit card celebration cutting up cards. Gosh, classes of say 10 people, there could be 30
$35,000 or something.
No, cards.
Cards.
30 or 35 cards that are cut up.
Oh, okay.
And then as far as what happens is they'll post their debt. We don't know any individual stuff. We can talk about that later. This is all done.
It's accumulation.
There's a lot
of
of
the whole
privacy
class. Yeah, there's an
for-
accumulation.
It's all privacy. We don't know individual unless people share, but we don't know. And but it also shows, as a class, how much people are saving and how much debt they're paying off, and it gets exciting.
Yeah.
Now remember, it's a 10-week class.
Yep.
So you're not changing your financial world in 10 weeks, but in a way you are, because now you have light at the end of the tunnel and you know where you're going. Whereas versus before, you're just reacting through life. Now you have a purpose with finances. So it's different.
It's really saved a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, tens of thousands, and probably beyond that over the 7 classes you've taught and how much people have been applying those principles.
We hope so.
Yeah. You mentioned in the beginning when you talked about FPU, you said the process, you said it's simple but not easy.
Yeah.
How can you clarify that?
Sure.
What do you mean by that? So what's simple but what's difficult about it?
Simple is learning the steps.
Mm-hmm. The way it's presented.
The way it's presented on what to do, right? But it's difficult to make changes.
Yeah, to apply it.
It's difficult to sacrifice. Mm-hmm. I'll tell you, I have a graph I show the differences between motivation and discipline. So motivation, the graph is, if you could picture it, it's very high initially, and then it starts to fade because we get so excited about things. I mean, how many New Year's resolutions, the whole thing, right? We get very excited, and we're doing it because we're motivated. And as soon as we lose that feeling of motivation, then we stop doing what we need to be done. And so you don't get to the goal. But discipline is, it's not up here, it's this.
Steady.
It's consistent, it's steady. Discipline is based on doing what's needed and what's necessary and what's the right thing, not based on motivation, whether I feel like it or not.
Yeah.
In fact, motivation, kick it out. I can feel like I don't want to do it. That doesn't matter. Discipline means you do it because you know it's the right thing.
And you have to sacrifice.
Yes.
It's saying no to some things for better things ahead.
That's right.
That's right.
And it's in all facets of life. Discipline is so important. And definitely in finances, discipline to get to the goal that you want to achieve.
That's right.
So, yeah.
Are you willing to share just a word of encouragement to the listeners, just for those who are listening who might be struggling financially right now? What do you want to tell them?
Linda,
I was just going to share 2 people that come to mind. I won't say names. One was a couple early on. They literally came into the class just car accident, medical expenses. I mean, when we got to the point in the class where we were asking them to strip some of the things that they are doing to shave off some things so that they could come up with a little bit money to start paying off the debt.
Yep.
They said they had nothing more to give. They had nothing more to give. But just, suggestions that people in class make, suggestions that we had, giving up gym memberships, not going to Starbucks, packing your lunches. There's a whole don't go out to dinner as a family, but make a wonderful dinner at home. All these things. Getting rid of your Netflix, Disney Plus, whatever. Getting rid of all these things that you don't do or use that much or don't need unless you can afford it. This couple started seeing a light at the end of the tunnel. It was just such a nice feeling. And then, so that I'm just letting people know that no matter what you may think, oh, I'm lost. I can't I won't get anything out of the class because there's nothing more I can do. There is. There is.
Yeah.
And the other one was a lady who was married, but she came by herself. She said the same thing. She couldn't see any point forward, but she kept at it. Just having the budget meeting with her husband, who wasn't coming, made their marriage stronger. It made them, she found out her husband was doing things financially, which were great, that she wasn't even aware of. They became more in tune as a team, and she started paying debt off.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. So there's hope for everybody.
Yeah. There's the people that come in, they don't have hope. A lot of people do have hope. I don't want people to think that this class is only for those that are, in really bad shape. You can be in decent shape, but you just want to see some other ways of maybe investing, things like that. But it's exciting when we see all types of people, but especially those that they basically have lost hope. They don't see light at the end of the tunnel financially. And like Linda was saying, they're in the class, they're talking to other people, they're seeing the information with Dave Ramsey, what they present. They start to get disciplined. They start to see a glimmer of hope. And so from the beginning of the class, their perspective to the end, night and day difference. They haven't arrived at the end, but now they see hope and they see that light where before they didn't. And that's exciting.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I love that.
That's exciting. There's a C.S. Lewis quote that I say, I don't know if I'm quoting it perfectly, but something like, you can't change the beginning, but you can start now to change the ending. And so no matter where we are in life, and finances or anything in life.
Relationships,
all of
walk
it.
with Christ.
That's
any
right.
of it.
Yeah, all of it.
Very biblical.
Where we are today, we can't do anything about what's happened, any mistakes we've made, anything. But we can make changes now to change the ending.
Yeah.
And so there was one particular person that really made a big difference hearing that from C.S. Lewis, because it changed her perspective. Human beings were very complicated. And sometimes it just needs a little click of seeing things differently to move on forward, to make the right decisions. Yeah.
People can be very hard on themselves.
Yeah.
And we all make mistakes, and there's coming back from that.
There's.
That's so true. We all make mistakes.
Yep.
And we're human beings. So it's a matter of, what are you going to do now? Now we can all.
What's the next best thing?
We can all go in a corner and curl up and give up. No. That's one option, but that's not the best option. That's not God's option. So figure out the information. In this case, financial peace with finances. Do what needs to be done. Be disciplined, and move forward. And even if you say you have a goal, I'll say this. You say, I don't know, 30 years from now, my goal is blah, 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 blah financially. Let's say you don't get there. So what? You did your part, and then the rest was in God's hands. Yeah. I always say, look in the mirror. Again, anything in life, but this case, finances. Look in the mirror, and can you say, I did my part? Because that's all I could do. I can do my part, and now the rest is in God's hand. People will ask me about, say, an interview. I've got some ideas about interviews because of my history. In the end, and Linda used to say this to people when you were in HR, you go into an interview, you do your best, you prepare your best, you give your best possible presentation. After that, it's not in your hands anymore. It's the same thing with finances and everything else. You do your part, the rest is in God's hand, wherever it ends up.
Can I ask a question? So you mentioned like a couple words, budget, we said stewardship, tithing up. Sometimes some of these words are intimidating for people. Is there a base level of knowledge needed to come in? Or are you could explain the tools, like a spreadsheet, a budget sheet, that might be really overwhelming for someone. Are they're being taught how to understand these things in simple ways? And it goes through the tools really well.
100%. Okay. You can come in with zero financial understanding, zero. Good. You can have a lot of ideas that may not be as advantageous to you financially.
Mm-hmm.
As far as like budget, every step is explained to detail through videos. And then also we have a discussion at the end between Lynn and I and the group.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, so it doesn't matter your financial knowledge. Just come to the class, learn these principles. You'll at the end of the class, you'll know what it takes to get to the baby steps to get to some goals.
I was going to say, even as far as budgeting goes and creating the budget, Dave Ramsey talks about an app for people who are less digitally inclined. Craig talks about how when we started, we used paper and pen. He could show them how to make a budget with paper and pen.
It's not hard.
We also follow up generally every class with an alternate video that we send through the email that will be a third way that they could do a budget.
Nice.
You know,
so there's options. People find their style.
And we are available for calls during the week, you know, for the people in the class. If they have a question, we will be more than happy to help them at any time because we are retired and have a little more time on our hands.
Yeah. Good.
Minus those 3 lovely grandchildren.
Yes. Yeah.
And maybe a little golf here and there.
And quilting.
Yeah.
and
Wow.
it's true. But yeah.
Well, would you tell us a little bit about the start date and the cost for the class? That you want to mention the book and what's included in this when someone signs up for the class?
Is it March 4th? I can't even.
Yes.
Is it March 4th?
So.
It's a Wednesday.
double check.
It starts, March 4th, Wednesday. It's a 10-week class. It'll be starting at 6:30 and it'll go for an hour to 7:30.
Yep.
And it's $40. I mean, the church pays between $70 and $80 per registration.
Mm-hmm.
So the church is,
A couple is one registration, by the way.
Yeah,
So
if you come
if you're sharing the same email, it would be one. A couple would count as one.
Yeah. So we're asking for $40. Now, if you can do the full 70, that'd be wonderful. But $40 is what the class is, and what you get with that is you get 1 year membership to Financial Peace, which is an online. You have access to so many different tools.
Yeah, a whole year of access.
Whole year.
Online. Yeah,
and we utilize. I mean, the way the class is set up is that we'll watch a video. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. Each participant will watch a video on their own time, which is about an hour.
Okay,
and then we'll watch a summary video in class, which is about 6-7 minutes, and then we'll have a discussion, and we'll just open it up. Lynn and I'll do most of the presenting, and there's always a lot of stuff to talk about. There's a lot of fun and excitement, and we always run out of time.
Runs out of time.
So now that's going to be an hour. It's going to be a little tighter, but it's okay. It'll be fine. And with that, you also get a book, and this is the book where when you watch a video, there's places you can fill things out as you go along.
Take notes in there.
And take notes, and there's a lot of encouragement in here. So that's what you would get with the class. Yeah.
Sweet.
And the church has been generous to cover the extra fee for everybody, which is amazing.
Yeah, everyone who gives, you're giving, this is one of the aspects giving helps to supplement the cost for this. So you don't have to pay participants aren't asked to pay the whole cost.
Right. And just so you know, the money does not go to the church. The money is being paid to Financial Peace, which the church has bought them. So this is a Financial Peace University fee.
We don't earn a penny.
We don't earn a penny.
Right. You're volunteers of Centerpoint that have gone through the training.
Right.
I wanted to say it will be the best $40 you ever spent. Maybe not the best, but close.
Yeah. And as I mentioned before,
perhaps the best investment.
Yes.
$40.
And as I mentioned before, I mean, the class doesn't start till March 4th.
Yeah.
So that gives you some time to save $40 by not going to Starbucks, not going out to eat, packing your lunches. There's so many ways.
Make a simple sandwich for lunch.
Yep. Get an envelope and stick that $40 in there and just bring it on in.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
exciting. We
Have
love doing the
have
class.
a power out night at home and
That's
play
right.
board games with candles.
I don't know why we've gotten into.
There's a lot of ways to
I
save
don't know why
money.
we've
Yeah.
gotten into this thing that we feel like we have to spend money on our kids and take them to all these fancy places. Take them to the park.
Yeah.
to the
Go on
park.
a hike.
Go on a hike,
instead
yes.
of to a.
Yes.
I
Yeah,
ate a lot
somewhere
of peanut butter
expensive.
and jelly sandwiches when I was
Yeah.
younger. It never hurt me.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you can.
I would even when I was younger, like some of my earlier jobs, I would bring, even when I was at Cal Baptist, sometimes I'd bring a peanut butter jelly, carrots and celery. I look like at a kid's lunch. But I didn't go out a lot, and that saved a lot of money
Yes,
for me.
it does.
So there's ways everyone can sacrifice in a way or a couple ways, and hopefully get that. If you are like, I tried everything, I'm so pressed, please talk to me. I'm the bad guy, or they're. I don't want them to be the bad guy. So talk to me. We'll figure out if there's another plan. I'll probably grill you a little bit to see if there's a way to pay something towards the class. But we want to encourage everyone. Save. It is a really good investment to take this class.
Yeah.
It is a commitment. It's 10 weeks, and you really do well by attending all 10 weeks.
Yeah.
Yep.
It-
Stick with it.
Be serious about
Yeah,
it.
you have to be serious about it.
Yep.
Be disciplined about it.
Yep. It's a good word. Discipline.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
discipline's a good thing. Any final words you want to say before we conclude?
Not
Okay.
really. We're,
Okay.
you know,
I look forward to seeing you guys.
Yeah.
This was a little different for us to do this.
Yeah, thank you
happy
for
we
being on
did.
here.
I'm happy we did. Thank you for having
Yeah.
us. Appreciate it very much. And we just hope that people are inspired, motivated,
Yeah.
and disciplined to take the class.
Yes.
How could they reach you, Craig?
Yes.
Oh.
Good question there.
I think for now the best way would be email.
Okay.
And it's CS Gutman. So CSGUTMAN @gmail.com.
Perfect.
So you can always shoot an email my way.
And that email will be in the bulletin. And if you go to the What's New page on our website, centerpointchurch.church, What's New, we're going to have the link on there. It'll have the details about FPU, a reminder of those dates, and then the registration so that they could click on there, they could sign up for the class, and then there'll be information about how they could make that payment before the class begins.
Yeah.
So,
And you're welcome to come approach us at any time
Yeah.
and ask questions as well if you
Yeah.
see us at church.
yep.
Yeah.
I always see you guys 9:15 is your,
Yeah,
your
9:15.
service.
Yeah.
So come at 8, 9:15 or 10:45. You'll see them
That's right.
before or after.
That's
right.
right. That's right.
Craig's very tall.
Yeah. I'm on the tall side.
Yeah.
That's what people tell me.
Well, thank you again for being here, and God bless you all. Thanks for listening. If you have questions, you could, again, csgutman at
Gmail.
gmail.com. Or if it's for the podcast, you could always reach out to myself too, podcast@centerpointchurch.church. Have a great week. God bless.
Bye.
Thanks.